Hi, Peake families. This is Miss Killian, your family engagement specialist, and welcome to our spotlight on Peake Family Readers. If you didn't know, November is both National Parent Involvement Month and National Family Literacy Month. And so to celebrate that, we wanted to put together a family reading project that you could do at home with your family and your child on your own time. So we are going to have Miss Holbrooks read a story today. The story that she is reading is called Little Red Riding. Notice how that writing is spelled. And she is also going to talk you through the writing process and a writing activity. So your third, fourth, or fifth grader should have received this packet. It comes with the book, comes with the story map, which is Ms. Holbrooks is going to explain. Also comes with pencils and a pencil sharpener. So make sure you grab this and listen to the story.
Hi, boys and girls. I'm Mrs. Holbrooks, the reading interventionist here at Peake Elementary, and I am going to be sharing with you guys Little Red Riding. Here we go. This is Little Red Riding. Now, you might think that that looks familiar. This might look like a familiar fairy tale that you guys are all familiar with. I want to see if you can figure out what familiar fairy tale it is as I read through the book. This is by Joan Holub, and pictures by Melissa Sweet. Little Red Riding. Once upon a time in pencil school, a teacher named Miss Two told her class, "Today we're going to write a story." Story path. Idea, character, setting, trouble, even bigger trouble, fix the trouble. Yippee, said the birthday pencil. Slammin', said the basketball pencil. Sharp, said the little red pencil. I want to write a happy story, said the birthday pencil. I'm going to do a nonfiction story about the great state of Pennsylvania, said the state pencil. I'll write about sports, said the basketball pencil. I want to write a story about bravery because red is the color of courage. But what would a brave pencil do? Wondered Little Red. Go on a journey through the school? Meet unusual characters? Fight evil? Save the day? Miss Two gave Little Red a basket of 15 red words to use in case she ran into trouble. Remember, it's okay to wander a little bit, but stick to your basic story path so that you don't get lost. Okie dokie, said Little Red. Little Red opened her notebook and began. Once there was a brave red pencil who went on a journey. As she walked along, walking is boring, decided Little Red. She wanted her story to be exciting. She went to the gym and was quickly drawn into the action. She bounced, she boogied. Then she cartwheeled right off the page and into a deep, dark, descriptive forest. Watch out for adjectives on this path. Description adds pizzazz to any story, but Little Red was bogged down, hindered, lost. She reached into her word basket for help. Aha! Scissors! I need to cut through all the description and stick to the story path. Need help sticking to your story path? Well, you have come to the right place, pencil, said a voice from the supply closet. Because I'm full of words that have stick-to-itiveness. They'll stick up for you and stick by you, but they aren't stuck up like that tape guy down there. Little Red squeezed the bottle. Too many glue words came out. So that is how she found herself writing a sentence that would not end, but just kept going and running on. And although it had no purpose yet, it would not get out of her story or say anything important. So she was glad when the helpful words arrived. Suddenly, it brought some friends. Suddenly, abruptly, surprisingly, she heard a strange sound, which she decided required all capitals and rather large punctuation. It was in the middle of the story where something exciting should happen, and it did. The growly sound chased her. Abandoning all rules of punctuation and sentence structure in her panic, to escape Little Red began running on and on and on, and she grabbed random nouns from her basket, tossing them out to fill up the chasm of blank space nothingness, which was all that stood between her and the grrr. Then hooray, finally, a last page was full, and she could leave the horrid sound behind and go to the next page. But as the page turned, Little Red couldn't help noticing a long, tangly tail disappear around the corner. Was that tail up to no good? A truly brave pencil would follow it to find out, she thought. She decided to tail that tail and wound up trailing it around an exciting page of her own story. Eventually, it led her all the way to the next page, which went into the principal's office. Principal Granny's office. Pencil school rules. When in doubt, see something, say something, and help others. Little Red knocked on the door. Come in, said a growly voice. Ooh, I've heard that sound before. Greetings, little pencil. Great to see you, said Principal Granny. Little Red was suspicious. I'd like to report hearing a growly voice. And you know what? It sounded kind of like yours, said Little Red. The better to be heard on those school intercom, said Principal Granny. Now, does this sound like a familiar fairy tale to you guys? It does to me. I'd also like to report that I saw a long, tangly tail. I can't help noticing that you have a tangly tail too, said Little Red. The better to get charged up for my school duties when my batteries are running low, said Principal Granny. I'd also like to report that I have just noticed what big, sharp teeth you have, said Little Red. The better to chomp little pencils like you and grind them up, growled Principal Granny, who in reality was, any ideas? The Wolf 3000, the grumpiest, growliest, grindiest pencil sharpener ever made. Just as the Wolf 3000 began to chase Little Red, in walked Mr. Woodcutter, the janitor. Who made this mess? Help! Cried Little Red. I think the Wolf 3000 has sharpened Principal Granny to smithereens. Mr. Woodcutter fainted. It was up to Little Red to stop the Wolf 3000's rampage. She reached into her word basket. There was only one red noun left. She took aim and threw. Dynamite! Kablooey! Phew! That was a close shave. Good thing that brave little pencil came along to save the day, said Mr. Woodcutter. Luckily, Principal Granny was all right, though her life had been somewhat shortened by her experience with the Wolf 3000. I wasn't really brave. I was scared, said Little Pencil. Even heroes get scared, but they do brave deeds anyway. You are a hero in my book, replied Principal Granny. Notice how Principal Granny's nice and short now? Little Red zoomed back to her classroom just in time to hear the other pencils share their stories that they had written. And that's the story of the happiest birthday party ever. The Adventures of the Wright Brothers. The artist challenged them to a draw. The first patent for a pencil with an eraser was issued in Philadelphia. He was very tall. The Pencil and Gretel ate the candy. Then Pencil and Gretel ate the candy. We wrote a story together using teamwork. We are number one. Get a grip, said the pencil. Then it was her turn. Once there was a brave red pencil. Good job, Little Red. Right on. The end. So were you able to guess which story this was like? Hopefully you said Little Red Riding Hood. So this is this author's version of Little Red Riding Hood. So we thought that it would be fun for you guys with your families this month to work on your own version of Little Red Riding Hood by using this story map. And this story map will be in your packets. All stories, when you're writing them, have story elements. So parents, this is a good way to begin your story and get your story ideas down in a story map format. First thing you want to do is come up with the characters. Who are your characters going to be? In this story of Little Red Riding Hood, they used a pencil instead of a little girl and a pencil sharpener instead of a wolf. So maybe decide what you're going to do as far as what's going to be Little Red. It could be a different person. It could be yourself. Put yourself into the story. Setting is when and where the story is going to take place. Maybe you want it to take place somewhere other than the woods. Be creative. All stories have a conflict, something that goes wrong with the main character, something that the main character has to solve. The Little Red Riding, her story, the little pencil's problem was that she had to write her story and was having trouble writing her story and was able to do it throughout the book. So that's completely different from the actual story of the Little Red Riding Hood. You also want to come up with some major events and key actions that are going to lead you up to your resolution, which is the ending of the story, and think about how that problem is going to actually be solved and write it in there. Once you've done all of that, then you want to go ahead and add it to your composition notebook that's coming home. And that way you've got an idea of how to begin your story and make sure your story has a beginning, middle, and end. Just to show you a couple of there's other books and versions of famous fairy tales. I just want to show a couple, maybe it'll spark some ideas, some creativity. I have this one, it's called Little Red and the Very Hungry Lion. So you can see this little girl put herself into it, but instead of a big bad wolf, she had a lion. I also have this one, which is actually third graders will be reading soon. It's called Petite Rouge, a Cajun Red Riding Hood. So instead of a big bad wolf, they used an alligator and it took place in the swamp instead of taking place in the forest. And you have a duck instead of a little girl. I also have other popular fairy tales. So the Hansel and Gretel, you have Hansel and Gretel and the Ninja Chicks, the Three Little Super Pigs, the Gingerbread Bear, Bigfoot Cinderella, the Princess and the Pig instead of the Princess and the Pea. This one is a popular version of the Three Little Pigs, but instead of the Three Little Pigs, it's the Three Little Wolves and the Big Bad Pig. So maybe you want to think about how to change that around. Instead of the Gingerbread Man, we have the Ninja Bread Man. And finally, the popular Goldilocks and the Three Dinosaurs. So these are all popular versions, mostly of the Three Little Pigs and the Gingerbread Man. But there's lots of versions of different fairy tales out there that are fractured fairy tales. So I can't wait to hear your version of what you come up with Little Red Riding Hood, just like this author did. Can't wait to hear your stories.